2022 Stanley Cup champions.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? I am Brit, the Civ, and I've got Nik here next to me, who you'll used to see. Can't speak to his goaltending abilities, but I'd imagine he's hopefully not much better goaltender than I am. We're part of the MHRT Network here with the Cluster Puck podcast. It's been a week of Avalanche hockey and lack thereof. Even short a game, there's still plenty to talk about. How's it going, Nik?
Oh my gosh. What a day. Just to get here was such a nightmare. We got hit by a snowstorm up kind of where I work in the Salt Lake area, and it was a nightmare coming home, which is kind of why we started a little late. We apologize, but I'm alive. I'm in one piece. And now we got an early white Christmas as a reward. So it's bright side to everything.
I haven't gotten one yet, and I'm fine with that. I'll put it off as long as possible.
Oh, I hate it so much. That's like one of my biggest fears is driving in snow, especially like when snow's on the road and you're sliding everywhere. Like just driving home, there were about 3 or 4 wrecks out on the road, and so
considering you live in like some of the best skiing
area, yeah, we got all the great ski resorts.
But yeah, the chaos lines right up with how the last week has been. So
yep.
At least you're here alive, and we don't have to add you to the LTIR.
Right. No LTIR for me. We're here repping the new
jersey. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah,
okay. So I was undecided, but they looked better on the ice.
Oh yeah.
I just wish we could have seen more red, but they did. They were clean and crisp on the ice. That yellow and that blue could almost be mistaken for black. They look way different out on the ice, but I liked them a lot more on the ice. I suppose we can just get right into it. So as you'll notice, we're short a game. So we were going to be covering 4 games. So we're covering 3. Our game that was supposed to be the start of a back-to-back against the Preds was canceled. Not mad about that.
The water problem.
Yeah, and that's what I was like, okay, so, they've got like some pipes burst, but I don't know if you saw the videos. I mean, somebody...
It was a pool on the concourse. He was in his bare feet splashing around.
Yeah, inch or 2 of water, and you'd also think like electrocution might be something there. But yeah, so I suppose that was like they really didn't want to play us that bad that they just straight up flooded their whole entire room.
Here's what they should have done. They should have frozen over everything, just kind of break the HVAC as well, froze the entire arena, set goals on either side, and that's your ice rink.
Yeah, like the downhill challenge games.
You have to weave your way through the fans and whatnot. That would have made for some exciting
hockey. The way
hockey.
things go against the Preds, though, wasn't that last year's game when everybody ended up with COVID like 9 minutes before the game?
Pretty much. It seems like the Avalanche, the bane of their existence, not as far as playing goes, it's just the bizarre. It's always Nashville for some reason. I don't understand it. So the game, I don't think they've announced when that's going to be replayed, but I'm assuming end of the season, maybe.
I can't imagine. Else. It has to be awful at this point to try to do it. So yeah, I mean, it was lucky for us. We got out of a back-to-back, and we needed that considering the way that the game before it went. But we'll start with the first. So we played Dallas first last Monday, which is a super important game. I mean, these are measuring stick games for us and for Dallas. These games, especially the first one, I mean, it felt playoff-esque. The first really, I mean, not the first, but it's definitely one of the more intense games we played this season. A lot of the games have felt so much, and I don't ever think that it's okay to say like it doesn't matter if we win, but considering the way injuries and lineups have gone this year, almost every game at some point we could have said, if we lose this one, it's fair. We've given a lot, but this one was it was a big win for everybody. Everybody involved was very invested, and it was an interesting game too.
It was definitely hard fought. Like that's one of those good old fashioned hockey games that you like to watch, especially when
Right.
it's when you are showing just as much physicality as the other team.
Right.
My favorite part about that, well, there's two favorite parts that I did have about that, was not only Georgiev and his amazing play, and once again gets a great win in shootouts.
Yeah. I
Did
mean,
a
he's
fantastic job, and he's to a point, and we had this discussion last week about like number ones and stuff like that. But with Georgiev, if you haven't invested all the confidence in him now, you really should.
No. And I am very stingy with I always tell people, like, if I'm playing drop in hockey, I'm always on the goalie's team. But like when it comes to NHL, with the Avs, I've been very stingy with my heart. And the second I gave my heart to Grubauer, he shit the bed again. I mean, it was the second that I was finally Dad, it's okay. I'm gonna I finally told my family I'm done questioning him, because I took such a beating on the Twitter sphere about I just never bought into Grubauer, and there was just something. It's almost like he wasn't apathetic enough, but he wasn't angry enough. You need to be at one end or the other. And the second I was like, you know what, I'm good. I got this. My heart's in it. And then he just, whew. And then Kemper, right from the get-go, I was like, I'm going to love him and support him right from the get-go. And just all year, it was like you could just never latch on and say he's the guy. And I swear to God, after that Rangers game, I text all my people that I talk to in the daily, and I'm like, I think he's the guy. Like, I just
we got her, man.
Yeah, it felt good and it felt right. And there, not a single thing. He has not had a bad game. He has not made a comment, which probably helps that I don't think he speaks great English. So he's not too,
or doesn't speak very much at all to go to boot,
Yeah, he's so, you can tell he's passionate, but he's just that perfect mix of crazy, and he's got that chill. Like, I don't know. I'm sold. I actually am going to order myself a jersey. That's a big deal for me.
Are we talking reverse retro, or what are we talking about?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I might even order myself like a fake of last year's reverse retro, because I love that jersey so much. Or even just like a Nordique-esque jersey. I don't know.
There you go. Grab one of these bad boys.
It's a really big deal. I mean, this is a big commitment for me to be all in on an Avs goalie, because I have not trusted an Avs goalie since I named my dog Varlamov 9 years ago.
And might have to rename him again.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you, though. The NHL, they posted out on social media just the quarterly leaders and whatnot. For those of you who are listening, if you haven't saw it, go check it out. It gives the leaders in all these different categories, and save percentage. Georgiev is in the top 3, and he's going unnoticed in the Vezina race so far, which is just beyond bizarre.
Guys not taking the sample size, their sample size is small, and this is a straight up starting goaltender. So he's only going. They have those other goalies have one bad game, they're going down. I mean, he is building a very stat proof rise, because it's consistent. He is facing so many shots, and that's like. It seemed like last year, Kemper, we were not letting as many shots on goal, and he was getting a lot more shots, but that's because he produced his own rebounds. Georgiev is getting these shot counts while controlling the rebound. Can you even imagine what his shot counts would look like if you were giving up rebounds like Kemper?
Gosh.
Love Kemper.
And you raise a good point, because just watching like this most recent Dallas game, which we'll get into in a second here, whenever he was doing blocker saves or anything where he'd push away the puck, he would bounce that sucker to the boards.
Yep.
Right?
To the corners.
Either corners, boards, wherever. It's not something that's right within the vicinity of an opposing player, which
it's usually because England is like halfway up.
He's already charging our own net. But I'm on the Georgiev train fully.
It makes me like giddy. We haven't been able to be excited like this and have faith like this.
And we have 3 years of him. That's the best part. And I think he really likes it here. Yeah,
I do too.
and that's not to put any shame or any lower tierness to Francouz. He's
No,
playing just as good.
no, and he's clearly
It's
happy here also.
Oh yeah, so it's a good problem to have where if something does happen to Georgiev, you are more than okay, more
Exactly.
than capable of winning games with Francouz. And like we talked about last week, 2 games with Georgiev, 1 with Francouz, somewhere in that realm. And we're great as far as the health of our goalies. Keeping
Yeah,
them
I
healthy,
think
that's about
that
the only part we need to make sure we have under wraps.
I think that the league is going to catch on quick to Georgiev. I think people think that we're riding along, just riding our top dogs, and I don't think the league has realized yet how much we're being carried by one line and a goalie. I mean, if we didn't have consistent goaltending, we could have been blown out of our building many a time. And there's just so much to speak about him having such strong starts versus how many, I was just thinking about it earlier, how many games last year did we let in the first shot of the first minute or two of the game? And it's such a tone setter. And we're just constantly getting to start on a good tone. I mean, we're not starting behind. And that's the same, like with Frankie letting in that first goal the other day, 20 seconds in, I feel like our team rides those emotions.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that because that game.
Sorry, jumping ahead. I'm all voice. I'm like Biddy.
We're doing a lot of this cold turkey, by the way, folks. So just bear with us. So the second part to that first Dallas game was a one Josh Manson going toe to toe, fist to fist with Jamie Benn, who, mind you, in a fight, he is a tough cookie to crack.
Yeah,
and he put about 2 or 3 slugs right onto the face. And I was just, I had hearts for eyes, I was loving the whole thing. It was so amazing.
It sucks that I've only seen it from like the one angle. I wish I could see it from like the Dallas bench. I think it's like Robertson that's looking right at him. That's like, oh, but I mean, he connects to the chin. I mean, just bare fist right to the bare. Oh man. And it was the biggest like collective arousal within the NHL, whether you were an Avalanche fan or not. I mean, Ben is just a jackass. He's
mean.
He's one of the, I mean, if he was our jackass, that'd be great. But God, that guy is such a jerk. And he is the epitome of all that is Dallas. So
side note, my wife and I were talking about this years ago. And we both agree that Jamie Benn looks like he could play Satan in any given movie.
He's angry enough.
He has like the slick back hair. Yeah. You throw that with the goatees, and then he has his tat sleeve. I
know.
Like he could play Satan himself in any given movie.
Yeah, he's and I don't think that's just an Avs thing. Like pretty much most of the NHL, he's just a jerk. I mean, and that's and the thing is so this whole, and now I feel like this is gonna be a never-ending saga because when Manson has blood on the mind, Manson has blood on the mind because Marchment laid Manson out, and that was don't quote me, but I think it was just like 2 or 3 minutes into the game, and I mean it was a shoulder right to square in the chest. And Manson took every ounce of that momentum, and it was a very clean, very good hit.
It was.
And the second Manson got up, I mean, you could see him scanning. He was ready for.
You just see his pupils dilate, kind of like a shark when it smells blood.
Yeah, and Manson is
He was the only person I looked for on the ice.
And so then Manson laid a good hit on someone else, and I can't remember who it was, but he got him good, and it was a good hard hit, and he was gonna literally hit. He would have hit Jamie Benn's grandma that hard had she been in his vision. And so then Manson did end up getting Marchment back, and they were all 3 very clean hits. And then for some reason, Jamie Benn thinks that he needs to it was even. Everything was evened up. It was good to go. And I don't know if Manson and Marchment would have let it be, but Jamie Benn apparently felt that he needed to insert himself there. And I mean, he dropped the gloves, and then he's the one. Manson gave him a quick flinch, and Ben bit. And
he's like, "Okay, gloves and go."
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen Ben just dominated like that. Absolutely dominated. He looked
wasn't
scared.
even able to get a solid punch. And, you know, like when you grab the jersey, you kind of hit a couple like this. He got a couple of those. But as far as full like haymakers or anything like that, he didn't get one.
No. And he didn't look like he wanted it. Like once he started it, I don't think he wanted to finish it. And I
think Josh Manson's a little taller than Jamie Benn, and he got a little scared.
And I don't know, I didn't really know Manson that well before he came to us, but I don't know if it's known like how tough he is and how relentless he is. Because for some reason in my mind, I've always thought of him as smaller than he is, but he's a big boy, but he is just a relentless person. You can tell he's a pest, and that's gets him in trouble, as you can tell by his very high count the last 3 games.
We'll talk about that game too.
Yes. But I mean, it was nice because I feel like Dallas has always been a little bit grittier than us in general. So it was nice that we don't even need McDermott on the ice. You know, it was, I'd say that was my favorite part of the game, honestly.
That was iconic.
Not fair when you consider that our King Makar was the fastest defenseman to reach 200 points in this game, which I know I'm so redundant, but like, we're so lucky. Like we're so lucky to be able to see him play and to be able to call him ours. And I would literally trade everything in the world to keep him on the Avs forever. I just feel like he's the future of our team and he's the future of hockey. I watched this video that was like the science of edges, and Cale Makar is like resetting the science in how we play the puck and utilizing the blades. And when I was growing up, everything was all about stick handling. Like we all wanted to stick handle perfect. And now everything is about skating. It's about using those edges. And when you watch these concepts and then Cale Makar is just the perfect specimen of skate. It's just like when you watch him reverse hit, we're really, really lucky. If you appreciate the game of hockey, and he did it on a slap shot. When what's the new talk is slap shots aren't even going to be part of the NHL anymore. But Cale Makar's slap shot,
he's doing it, man.
He's incredible, and it's he didn't even reach it with like 1 game to go. He still had 13 games that he
had it quite handedly by 13, 14 games, something like that. It was and
when you look at the names like Zubov, these people, he might have this record for the next 20 years. I mean, it's just
it took him that long to get to the next guy. It's a generational talent, and we've said this time and time again. And you touched on this. This is kind of my thought on Cale Makar. So it's like he's a child in looks, right? His skating ability is similar to that of just a figure skater. It's got finesse. He could do a pirouette or a triple axel, and you'd just be like, "Oh, this is
in
my
hockey
gosh!"
Skates.
But the other thing is, he stands his own ground on the defensive end too. People obviously they recognize him for his offensive ability and how he shaped the game from the offensive standpoint. But mind you, he lays some pretty hard licks himself.
And I think. And I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I talked to a power skating coach a while back, and I really just think a lot of it derives from him having a higher understanding of the science behind these like momentum transfers and timing. I think it's a lot more than just going hard. I just think that his hockey IQ and his general intelligence is superior. And I gush about this kid like I'm just his grandma, and he we're really lucky. I'm just really, and I'm sure other teams
8 more years too
about people, but they're not as good as Cale Makar.
No, and especially when he hits his strides and stuff like that. Like, it took him some time to get his first goal, but now it's like game after game after game. It's like, oh, there's a goal by Makar, or at least an assist by Makar. Now he's just putting up points.
Was this the game that he took a little puck to the face, or was that last week? Ooh. That he had one roll up and hit him in his mouth? Oh, I was.
That's a good question. Worried. I'm not entirely sure.
But he stayed out for the game and scored a goal. So
yeah. But it's
but that was a game.
That was a great game, and like I said, it was just a hard fought win in Dallas, which is it hasn't historically been an easy place to win for the Avalanche.
Not for us.
And they get things done, and it's a good 2 points to have, especially that you have some games in pocket, and they're first in the division, mind you. So it's. To beat them both times this week.
It's not giving them a point in that game. Yeah, So, and I was hoping we could kill. So Jason Robertson, which I did not realize how
You said we were hoping we
incredibly
could
young
kill
that
Jason
child
Robertson?
was.
Is that what you just said? Or maybe that was two separate ideas. I thought I just heard you say maybe we could kill Jason Robertson.
Oh no, I must have. I was hoping we could kill his point streak.
Kill his point streak, but all I heard was I was hoping we could kill Jason Robertson.
No, I probably did. Yeah, no, sorry.
That would
was
kill his
two
point
thoughts.
streak
I
for
was trying
sure.
to get to who I was talking about before.
And I was like, but Jason Robertson, I like that guy.
No, not kill him. I actually do very much like him. I wish he was ours. He is another, maybe not generational, but maybe generational. He is. I mean,
both goals
so
came from him.
So young.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't say enough good
left.
about him too. I know that was the
seems
sad
like just
part.
such a nice guy, and I mean he looks like he's having fun out there. He looks like an Avalanche player, not a Dallas player.
He should. Yeah, maybe Horvat is kind of back burner. Maybe we kind of focus our attention to the one Jason Robertson.
I can't believe that they let his signing slip like they did, because he held out in training camp, didn't he?
Right up until preseason, and even then it might have been dumb. It might have bled in there to preseason, but yeah, it's like I said, he's another one of those guys where he came onto the scene really early in his career, and now he produces such beautiful goals, and I can't say enough good things about him. And he's one of those players where you just wish he was yours. Yep. And then just exactly what you said, it's a new age, new generation of talent coming in that Makar, Robertson type era.
Yeah.
That the game itself, and then in 10 years or so, this game is going to look absolutely different. And you're going to see all kinds of goals scored in all kinds of bizarre fashions. We've already seen Zegras doing that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And
it's interesting to see him doing well with Dallas, because I'd say that they're one of the more lingering kind of old age style as far as defense especially goes. But you're seeing a resurgence in Ben, and I don't know, he's having a good effect there. I think he's doing good things beyond just himself. Got to touch on the basic. England cross checks Robertson right into Georgiev. So that's like the third goal that you can just put directly on him. Wait, this one's, and then but no Pavelski goals, and that's what really matters.
Yeah, and that Robertson goal, I understand the refereeing behind this question. And speaking of refereeing, we'll talk about that in the Vancouver and Dallas game, but I understand, because he's checked into Georgiev, and then in the replays from the the behind the crease, the nice big wide angle of Georgiev's butt, you see the puck. He didn't have control of it, and so it's like, you understand it, but you still don't like that goal, because I think the ref's intent was still to blow the whistle,
right?
But then after
those ones are just so awful.
Yeah, so it was. It's a call that I personally don't agree with, but that wasn't even the worst part of this past week's lineup of games.
Not even close. I think the biggest happiness out of that game, that Rodriguez assist to Newhook was so beautiful. The patience, and it's funny because everybody's always like, stop clutching the stick and just shoot. And it's like, then when you see the product of the patience, I mean, that pass was, it was all so good. And it's just so nice to see Matt Newhook score. I still don't know if I believe, if he's going to be a for sure second line center, but he's definitely finding a groove, or at least some bit of a groove. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
But he definitely looks like he's doing better.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other point that I had to touch on is just so funny, because I feel like the Rantanen shootout goal is like, it just sums up like Rantanen as a person. It's this most, like, if you just watch it, like, it's the most whatever, like, who shoots from, was like the hash mark that he shot
was so far away.
And it's just like, it's the most whatever bullshit shot ever. But at the same time, it's a beautiful, incredible, world-class shot. And that's, Rantanen is just...
And he just plays it off like it's, casual.
It's just incredible.
Just a Sunday walk, just easy stuff.
I know. When he took that shot, bizarre. I couldn't believe you don't see people shoot from there very often, but Rantanen knows, he knows he had the goalie beat, and that's Ottinger is one of the very few goalies hotter than Georgie right now. I mean, Ottinger
not by
scares me
looks, you
that
mean?
he could be the one who kicks someone like us out of the playoffs. I mean, those are the kind of things that have killed us in the past, is a goalie like Ottinger. So then the Dallas can just go get knocked out the next round. So, but yeah, he's wish he were ours also. I think he's the future, long good future of goaltending for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely agree.
I mean, that's about the Dallas game in a nutshell. It sucks to give him a point, but coming away with those points, I mean, that's just when you consider
you take what you can get. Absolutely.
Unreal. And I don't think did we have Gerard back for this game yet?
No, he came in this next Vancouver game, if I'm not mistaken.
Then on to the Vancouver game, which is maybe the most interesting of the. I don't even know.
It was frustrating, that's for sure.
Yeah. I thought that the Alausive debut would be the key talking point for this game prior to the start, but nope.
It is once again. It is once again, at least in my mind, the refereeing, or that plus we didn't play our style of game.
No.
What I hated the most about the Vancouver game, right? It's you knew Vancouver was, they weren't going to give up on anything and whatnot. Now look, they have a hot streak because of it. The refereeing in this game, man, there were just so many missed calls that I don't know.
It was wild.
It was.
And even beyond just complaining about not having things called for us, it was bizarre all around, things not called.
Yeah. And it just seemed like the Avalanche just weren't really prepared for the game to begin with, right? Yeah, and going on a power play, an extra power play or two here and there would have been really helpul because you were never out of the game. But
there was just no flow in your either.
Own. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And we definitely, one positive takeaway we ended up with 47% face-off win, which I don't know how the heck that happened out of that game.
That's a miracle.
I feel like that's the highest I've seen yet. Definitely wasn't Frankie's strongest game. Was it 21 seconds into the game?
And goal.
Goal, yeah.
Goal
which we left. Was that Ilya Mikheyev, I think?
I think it was.
I mean, it definitely was a good goal, but also that's a tough look when you let one in that quick. And then it was just we couldn't have 5 minutes of just something, anything. So, and I was curious about what you thought. So we had Rodriguez go down, which you could tell was not. It was a big ouch. It was not a little ouch.
Yeah.
The only angle I ever saw was looking at him with his hurt leg on the far side. Did JT Miller get a hard stick on that knee, or was that just a tap that caused a wobble, or was that just a weird wobble in general? Because you could tell that it looked very...
I think it was just kind of a dumb luck type of move. I didn't go back and see replays on it. I only saw just the first couple of times and whatnot, but I was like, obviously it looked like it was just kind of incidental type move, but it's just unfortunate. And I don't know. I was just thinking, is this kind of like the hockey god saying, we'll give you Gerard back, but
actually just keep Gerard.
but we want Rodriguez in return. Yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd be like, yeah, we'll take you, Rob. I know.
He's probably going for possibly, the best season of his life. Yeah. And it just feels like our guys can never accumulate a good season of goals and points and blah, 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 because there's always some little bullshit injury
Injuries are so...
Yeah, I think it's 2 to 4 weeks. And I imagine it'll probably end up being 6 weeks with the way injuries are called for us lately.
Well, you never know. I mean, they said that with Landeskog, it could be a little earlier than what they anticipated. They just put that time frame out there, which they said it was loose, but they said he was progressing pretty okay.
The time frame is for after Christmas, right?
Yeah, I think it was January, mid-January, something like that. But who knows? Could be back in.
Which I did just read right before I hopped on here. Bednar's got Helm and who else is on the ice? Helm and...
Let's see. Helm is injured. Nichushkin's injured.
Helman Newcomb
Landeskog.
ice ramping up. Oh my gosh.
Because Nichushkin just got out of a boot, and so he'll hit the ice soon.
Yes, and he said
So
that
I'm
they're going to
hoping-
be ramping up while the guys are on the road trip, which to me is like, okay, so when they come home, good to
Yeah, no
go.
kidding. Oh,
Um,
boy, would that be great.
oh man, yeah. So then we get Rodriguez hurt, and then
Mhm.
we had a coach's challenge on a goal, and we won, which is just super weird. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that. I mean, I definitely agreed. You could tell that he tried to look innocent as he went. It was between, was it Manson and Frankie? It was
Yeah.
seemingly innocent, but he definitely was making more contact than he wanted to look like. And I was really shocked that Bednar even called it. And I don't know if he was just kind of trying to show respect to Frankie, because you never really see Frankie that angry or
He doesn't get really animated when there's like a missed call or
So I
something
feel
that
like Bednar
should
must
be.
have really bought into that, or at least wanted to show him he did, because I don't know if I've ever seen Frankie chase a ref or skate at the coach like that, which we won. And then of course, as fate would have it, they scored like 2 minutes later. Got it back.
And that's just it. It's like you knew the Avalanche could answer.
Yeah.
But then it was that stupid goal with 3 minutes left, or excuse me, 10 minutes left in the third. It was just kind of another rinky-dinky goal type thing. That and Francouz does have those on occasion. And it's just one of those like, you wish you had it back, but the grand scheme of things, it happens.
Right.
You can't fault him for little redirects, or he was screened, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that was just kind of the game. It was like you knew you were capable of coming back, but it just almost looks like they chose not to. They were like holding themselves back.
We definitely seemed a little bit rattled, and with all the injuries, like literally in that game, not the injuries outside of this game, it kind of got to a point where I was just like, holy shit, like when do we just tap out?
I know. Well, and we
Nico,
got to give some credit though for our depth though, for stepping in, for keeping these games tight, and you're winning game, if not losing by a goal or two.
For sure.
You got to give them a lot of credit. And I was
yeah, I mean, even Olausson, his debut, he got 7 minutes time on ice, which for Bednar, that's a pretty long leash for a NHL debut, because he's not one to play people any longer than he has to.
Yeah. Just a frustrating game though. I don't know. I still can't get over like the too many men on the ice. That call, it's like that's the bane of our existence, is too many men on the freaking ice.
I'll never understand it. I'll never understand how the most elite group of hockey players, and I was telling my husband, like, I want to watch and I just don't pay good enough attention. Do we take a lot of liberties with it and just get caught occasionally? Or
that's a good question, because they give you like a 5-6 foot buffer and whatnot. But I haven't really seen anything too much as far as them, that buffer being encroached way beyond its points or anything like that. But it did seem like, just because they didn't really have their heads in the game, that was just one of those lacks that they were caught in. And the ref just happened to remember that that's one of the calls he can make.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It seems, woo, I'm on a light malfunction. It seems like it's something that we do way more than other teams though. And I just don't know if that's just because I'm watching way more, but
it just, like we said, and if there was any momentum, like you said, we couldn't sustain it.
It was
every time, because either we did some stupid kind of giveaway or some BS type of call, a penalty,
Nico leak like that on the ice, it about made me vomit. I just thought, okay, he's gonna have that was such a hard high stick, and I know that, so like 4 minutes because he's bleeding, but it was like, holy crap, that felt like I should get to.
That's one that made your own teeth go numb. Yeah.
Yeah, I was worried about like an orbital like stuff in here, because it was so hard, and he's so handsome. So that is just
welcome to the cluster puck thirst trap.
Yes, yep. Our whole team
hosted by Brit.
You don't have to be a straight 30-something-year-old woman to swoon over the Colorado Avalanche. That was the problem. But
I am jealous very much of Landeskog. Don't get me wrong.
And the fact that he came back out on the ice is mind-blowing to me.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are so tough. And it just sucks now because that's just one more thing. Mikko is rolling. I mean, he is set to have the best year of his career. And it's just one more thing to throw on top of it. I mean, can you imagine trying to even just like jog a mile, not being able to, I'd imagine his nose is going to have to be, rebroken or whatever they're going to have to do. Probably not be able to breathe out of his nose. So that's just one more inhibiting factor to.
Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah. And I can't imagine the pain. And I know that they have access to ideal healthcare and stuff, but still, like, these guys are just crazy. And then you've got Comfer out there blocking a shot with his thick ass thigh. Was it right at the top of his thigh? And I thought, oh my God.
I thought it was like, yeah, kind of middle, knee between knee.
Yeah.
But yeah, those, like, hockey is not, and this coming from me, mind you, hockey is very, like, it is a physically tasking sport to play. Like, it asks a lot from you, especially up in the upper levels like NHL and stuff, where you are about 10 feet in front of, like, as a skater, you're 10 feet in front of someone and they are shooting a puck 90 plus miles an hour at you, and you're expected to just block it
93 miles an hour. That one that hit Comfer in the leg, like,
so
no thanks.
Yeah, like goalies, they at least get padding and stuff like that, and I don't know if it still feels a little numb when it hits you or anything.
I don't know how it couldn't with those guys. I truly don't know if even
as a
with
skater,
the best padding.
you don't have the type of equipment that a goalie would have, and so you're expected to block it there with a leg, an arm, something like that, and they do it night in and night out. That's the fascinating part about this sport is just how committed they are to getting wins, being for the team.
I think he just took a minute, didn't he?
No, he was kind of wincing, got onto the bench, rubbed some dirt on it, and maybe some smelling salts, getting himself back high.
You can't leave unless you're dead because
pretty
we have no one left.
Pretty much. But maybe get some smelling salts in there, kind of get the vitals back up, and away you go. But yeah, that was a physically tasking game. But at the end of the day, that a loss, and they happen, but it was just one of those more frustrating ones, and you just move on,
Yeah, it wasn't like a bad loss. I mean, it wasn't a good loss, but it wasn't like
you weren't blown out of the building.
Yeah. And they definitely, I mean, it's one of those games where, a little bit better goaltending could have done us some good. That's when you're losing, still scoring 3 goals, at least that's a +2. It's not like you can't expect a team to win getting shut out, but yeah, at least we ended up with that one extra day off. So I can't say it helps that much, but back-to-backs are rough.
Though. We thank the Predators once. Maybe they put a banner in their building. I'm just saying they could retire the water main, and then
yeah, I guess it was like a city water main thing, which man, what a mess.
Still though,
tell you. So I mean, any minute that we can have between.
They probably went and refueled themselves in some good Nashville barbecue. I'm guessing they were like, "Well, nothing better to do. Better load up and get some good energy in you." And
get home to play
on
tomorrow.
to the next Dallas game.
I know, and that's what sucks is like Dallas games are always physically demanding. And then if you would have told me the most like painful game of the year was going to be against Vancouver, like okay.
That one and then the 6-on-3 against St. Louis would be the most painful things to watch.
Yeah. Much.
But no, so it was a good thing to have, honestly, because I think if we were a back-to-back, the outcome of this other Dallas game would have been drastically different.
Because that Dallas game, the last one, it was about everything you could ask.
That second period, though, I think we played shorthanded for over half of that period. It was just penalty after penalty after penalty by one Josh Manson, who we talked about earlier in this episode. But you got to give it to the Avalanche. Their penalty kill has gotten much, much better. They allowed one for I guess 1,000. That's what it felt like it was like in the game. But it just seems like the refs were targeting Manson the whole time. There was like the missed high stick. That was like this is where the refereeing really comes into a play for me.
Yeah, and that is being recognized, I think, beyond just like Avalanche media, where it's you would think that since he said there was no injury, so there is no penalty, that it's like, okay, so they must have thought it was a follow through, but there's no way that it was a follow through. So like the two reasons, it was such a bizarre.
Never in my life have I heard the words, there is no injury, there is no penalty.
Yeah.
Did you know that tripping 9 times out of 10? Yeah, no kidding. Did you know that the tripping penalty, like 8 to 9 times out of 10, is completely accidental and no injuries come out of it, like ever? But guess what? They still throw the hand up and call the penalty. So you cannot give me that crap. Whoever that ref is.
Well, and you can't tell me like
and say there's
of injury, because you can't tell me he didn't hurt. Like,
you got high sticked in the face. Have you like I accidentally, so I'm looking right at the stick that hit me in the shins. We were just playing around just in the street, some street hockey stuff and what like that. And I was just kind of kicking around, just kind of hitting some dirt off my shoes, and I missed, and the bottom of my stick rammed right into my shins. I was wincing so hard because those hockey sticks are not soft pieces of wood. So you get high sticked with that thing. It stings.
Yeah, I mean, a doink from a good like dunk on the nose, especially from below, where how most of these guys get hit. It hurts even if somebody hits you with a marshmallow relatively hard. Like, there's nothing about getting hit in the nose that doesn't hurt.
So you can't tell me.
Maybe the ref is like losing sleep at night because maybe it was just worded really bizarrely, which this kind of comes back to what point do we expect refs to have like post-game interviews to where maybe he could clarify? I just worded it dumb, and now I super regret that, because that was going to go down in history as the dumbest shit that a ref has said in a long time.
That was the only thing I was thinking about, is what if he was saying it was two separate ideas?
Yeah,
if
it was something
there is no injury, period, end of sentence, and there is no penalty. If you just added the word "and" in there, that would have been like, oh, so there's not this and there's not this. Instead of, it sounded like one doesn't lead to the other. Which I'm gonna put that on. I'm gonna put that on our socials, people. So you be looking for a nice quote coming from our page that just says, "There is no injury, there is no penalty," and we will live. This will be gospel for the rest of time, right? If you are not injured, it's not penalized.
But we decide if you're injured.
Exactly. We're the ones who decide who is and who isn't injured in life. But just overall, but at the same time, the team finally came to play, and it was a good dominant win. Very, very
Manson
different.
Was a big jerk bag. I liked it.
He was ready for it. Anything.
The saga continues. This is, I think, going to go on for a long time between Marchment, Ben, and Manson.
I like it. And honestly, shout out to Jacob McDonald too, who picked a fight. And I think that was collateral from what McDonald and Marchment had done. I forgot who McDonald fought.
Is learning to be. I mean, he's next Ben in line, or what?
Yeah. Who was it that McDonald picked a fight with? Was it Lindell? I can't remember, but he was still smaller than him. But he was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm sick of it," and so he started going scrapping with him. It was kind of a more bland looking fight, nothing really to share, but still, like, he was at least standing up for himself, and it makes you noticed.
I think McDonald's got a little bit of that in him. I think he's been a lot less scrappy since he came back from that that injury last year. But I like McDonald, man. I really hope that he I don't know. I don't think he's earned a spot over, Kaut or whoever may stay in the lineup, but I like McDonald's game. And honestly, last night was the true shining of our depth. I mean, we had goals from Manson. Manson just shovel that little puppy right in the open net.
Beautiful.
You could just tell that he looked like he was stealing a goal when he just doinked it in there.
There was a weight that was taken off his shoulders for sure. Oh yeah.
What?
I said there was a weight that was taken off of his shoulders for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
And it was
Oh,
the same thing with like I just mentioned, Dryden Hunt getting on the board.
He's like, I found that open
He
net.
was like, finally.
I know, poor guy. You know that he hasn't been able to sleep
He
well
was
at night
working
since
so
that.
hard, and finally it's paid off. And hopefully, kind of like what we've said with Newhook, hopefully that's one of those rush, adrenaline
Right.
things that he's like, oh, because he had so many great chances in games past that finally he nets one and he's like, I can do anything now,
Yeah.
and it gives him all kinds of confidence
I'm
and
gonna
all
go
kinds
now.
of energy. Yeah, so he could take any kind of wild shot and put him in and stuff
And then
like
I
that.
think
But
they gave that last one to Cogs, but that
they
was
did.
Logan O'Connor's goal.
That was a Cogliano crotch goal, probably, because it
Yeah.
like zipped right between his legs. I'm like, there's no way he
He's a
touched
little
it.
goal stealer, though. That's what he
He
does.
is. It's always accidentally off of him, and I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't like that whole statistic thing of giving it to people who accidentally
I
touch
know.
it.
But
But by
be the
letter of the
difference.
law,
Yeah.
that's the one that ended up making the change of direction of the puck and all that stuff. So, but overall, like I said, a good team win. It probably wasn't the most complete game like the one they did against Washington, shutout and all. But
Yeah.
again, you're happy
This
with
was
the
a well
outcome. Oh yeah,
And watching Mac capitalize on Jamie Benn just coughing up that puck.
just forgetting how to hockey.
I love it. I love seeing Ben just embarrassed. I very much do not like Ben. So
Unless he's on the team, of
Good
course.
news.
Yep. So yeah, a good week though. But now we got a look ahead here as far as the games coming up. And the good thing about this month, I will say, I looked at the calendar and it is a beautiful checkerboard. There are no back-to-backs,
Nice.
which I like.
We've already
it's
had
beautiful,
3 or 4.
Yeah, we've had our fair share of them, and I tell you, man, they're not an easy task to do, especially when you have to fly. There's a home and a home. You have to keep whatever though. So in this weekly look ahead, like I said, since we were late in this, I didn't get time to actually put in my keys to the game. So like I said, we're gonna fly just by the seat of our pants here on this. So so this is an away road trip. All these games are out of town. The first one, we're heading up to Manitoba, playing Winnipeg.
The worst time in the world.
I know, I had a beautiful time. And if you thought like my commute was hell on earth, just can't get ready for Winnipeg. They dropped this game at home last time. So I guess something to watch for keys to the game is never let your guard down, because this Winnipeg team, mind you, they are up there. I think they are third currently, or maybe second right now as it stands in the division. So they are a team that's going to ask a tall order from you as far as play goes. So you have to be up for the challenge and never take your foot off the gas. Excuse me. So now that we have like Georgi having his newfound confidence, I think everything should be okay. The only thing that I think is going to be the plague in this game is injuries. You're short people, but at the same time, you've been up to the task in the past. I don't see why you can't be able to answer the bell in this game. Are you there? Did I lose you?
Oh yeah, now it is.
Oh, there we
okay.
go.
Yeah, no, I of all the like predictions this year of like who's the fakers and who's not, with as well as Winnipeg has done, I think that they're one of the fakers. I think that we could come in and potentially stomp them. I feel like we're gonna need to keep leaning on our goaltending, and hope that we can get a couple out of our first line and then a couple out of our depth. But yeah, I really feel like one of the main things that we're getting to is a strong start in all terms, especially as we get on a road trip. It's going to be harder to close out those third period comebacks. So I really think that a strong start is going to be huge in this.
Yep, absolutely. Another key to the game that I'm just kind of thinking about, and in recent games, is just unleash Nathan MacKinnon. When he has that kind of determination, like we saw with his amazing goal against Washington, and his defensive awareness to know that the puck was lost against Dallas, I'm talking about, and to put that in the net and all that stuff. If just have him play a very quick and aggressive game, typically what he, you can tell when it's him because he just across the ice and he's super quick. Just fire stuff, and hopefully there's somebody else on the other side of the rebound. So far, his awareness, I should say, is on point.
Yeah.
So I think if you allow him to play in quote unquote beast mode, I don't see any reason why he can be stopped. And I don't think Winnipeg is any different than any other team as far as trying to contain him.
Right. Well, and it's a lot of it probably depends on, I'd imagine, Hellebuck's going to be playing, and he's an abs killer of a goalie. He's one of those goalies that kind of gets us. So it might take, Mac McCarr and Randon to score some goals on him, assuming he is playing. At this point, you have to assume that every team is going to attempt to put their best goalie in front of us because they know.
Not?
But yeah, it's going to take a lot to get some past him. He's incredible. I think he's one of the most underrated goalies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, we'll see. And he's been playing it too. We
will. I can't really think of any additional keys to the game, so we'll stick with at least those two for this week. But again, just play your style. The 2 games you did against Dallas where they were hard fought. You knew how to punch back if you were hit in the mouth. Winnipeg's going to do this. They did this to you at home. You need to make sure that you can respond in kind, not give up, rinky-dinky penalties. Hopefully the referees are good, and I think you're in great shape heading into Buffalo with a win.
We'll see.
Yep. Speaking of Buffalo.
Yeah. Yep. And especially their defense is really right now.
It's true. It's very true.
Again?
Oh, I think you were. I think I went on to the Buffalo game, but I think you were still talking about the Jets defense. So I apologize.
No, let's move on to Buffalo, which is.
No, you're good. Yeah. So they started out really well, Buffalo.
Buffalo is just an odd one.
And now they've just they've fallen out of favor with the hockey gods and, whatever it is. But the big key to the game is to not, I guess, kind of the same thing with what we were just saying with the Winnipeg game. It's to just not have like one of those trap games, and this is actually a perfect comment that just came in from my wife here. They can be sneakily good in that they are more than capable of going toe to toe with you, even though they might not have the record that shows. They might not have the skill set that the Avalanche have. They can still hit you in the mouth if you're not aware, just similar to that Kraken game where we thought they weren't going to be a very good team. Now here they are sitting second in the Pacific, So key to that game is don't set yourself up for a trap game.
Yeah. Yep. And we are very prone to falling for trap games, it feels like.
Mm-hmm. And those are always the most frustrating of losses as well, as the ones where
my
it's like
internet's getting a little bit wonky, so sorry if I interrupt you.
No, you're totally fine. Snowstorm must be hitting you then. So the big thing again, there's not too much to say with this Buffalo game, just because they're just kind of one of those teams. There's nothing too much to say about them other than they have the talent to win. They just don't. They could, I should say, have the ability to just beat you at any given time. So that's probably key to the game, number one. A second key to the game, if I had to just kind of spitball, I would probably say just shore up your defense. If there is ever a time that you could get any kind of kinks and quirks and anything like that out of the way, that would probably be the game against Buffalo, because they are not a defensively heavy team. Oh, it looks like I think Brit just dropped out. I think her internet connection is out. So we'll see if she can get on back, but I'll go ahead and keep running you guys through the keys of the game here. Like I was saying, defensively, they're not, their offense, it has it's potent with Tage Thompson and stuff like that. But it's still not to a point, and from what I've seen, that you can, how do I put this, that you have to play a full physical game. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean you can't be physical or anything like that. But what that does mean is you can perfect your craft, right? And that's a good opponent to try that with, is with Buffalo, because that would be your point where you can work on things, right? Little tiny tweaks here and there. You know, try to play mistake free, but you're at a point, I think, defensively where you're going to be okay. Goaltending's at a great place. That'd be my other key to the Buffalo game. Let's see. It doesn't look like Brit has made it back yet. So we'll go ahead and move into the Boston game here. Just to wrap things up. Boston, number 1 in the league right now. They do not have a lot of losses. I think 3 at where it's currently at. They're going to probably be the toughest competition thus far. This is going to be one of those checkbox games where you can really measure up as far as how your current squad is against a team such as Boston. Their tandem goaltending is phenomenal. Their offensive rushes are just fantastic. This is going to be a very difficult game to win. And if you guys remember from last season, that was probably the most frustrating loss. You were beat down pretty hard in that Boston game. And it just seems like no matter what you did, you couldn't get any kind of momentum. They always had the puck in their zone. They always had the rushes. They always had the right place at the right time, stuff like that. And it just seemed like Boston was one of those teams, and especially this year, now that they're better, they are one of those teams that will hit you really, really hard if you don't see it coming. So, oh look, I think Brit's back. Is she back? She's back. There she is. We missed you. Everything okay over there? Oh, maybe she dropped out. We had her and then we lost her. Oh, okay. Well, we'll go ahead and keep going then. So while she's getting things figured out, I'll keep talking about Boston then. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at you, and they always have for every game. They've been hot in pretty much every department. Key to the game number 1: bring your best hockey game yet. Play mistake free at all sides of the puck. Hang on, let's see. Oh, she can't figure out what's happening. Let's see here. Asking if we're still on. Yep, we're still good to go. Let's see. Are we here? Are we back?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. No, we're good. We might be running into this stuff because of snow, man. So you're gonna have to bear with us. So we were just talking about. Oh no, that was. I was still going. So we moved into Boston now. Yeah, we moved into Boston just so I can get some. We could wrap it up here. So I was just saying.
Yeah, they're scary.
They're going to be your toughest competition yet, by far, because they just seem to make zero mistakes. So, and like I was saying, it's going to be one of those marquee games where you're going to figure out exactly how you match up with your current squad. So my key to the game was bring your best Avalanche hockey that you have brought this year. That game against Washington, it was great, but we need to have something even more refined, and it's difficult given the squad that you have. Grittier, definitely a harder team. They have offensive firepower up the wazoo, but I think if they bring an A+ game, more, oh yeah, they need to bring an A+ game, and even then, no, you're totally fine. Even then, this might be one of those games that goes into overtime because of just how difficult this game really is. That being said, though, you never know what's going to happen. It could be the Avalanche just blow them out of the water, but I think you regardless have to bring your best game.
Yep.
Sorry,
I'm trying to make sure I'm not interrupting you because things are still a little bit behind for me.
You're totally fine. Yeah, there might be a couple breaks, but Britt, your thoughts on Boston?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think that we need to come out strong, and these 10-minute lulls that we'll have in the second, it seems like we've always got our little lulls. I think that they're going to take advantage of them majorly. So we need to play from the first minute to the last because they're not going to give us any breaks. They really don't have many holes at this point. Their goaltending is elite, their scoring is elite, and their defense is elite. They come with grit. They're not soft. They're very scary right now, but it's also us, we're scary too. We're everyone else's bear,
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to either be a very good game if we can show up. It's a shame that we can't play them healthy, frankly. It'd be
Yeah.
nice to have our captain to start with, because that's
Mm-hmm.
something that if they're a team that's anything, they're a team that's formed around identity. They embrace that identity of being gritty and mean and tough, and it sucks that we're not missing our identity, but we're certainly not who we'd like to present, in
Mm-hmm.
our top games. But I think it'll be a great game if we can play from the beginning to the start, and it's going to be a game that we need Georgie to show up, and I would imagine he'll be playing.
Yeah, it's one of those instances of putting your best foot forward, and I totally agree with you. It would have been nice to see a fully healthy Bruins squad with a fully healthy. I mean, Bruins are, I think they're as healthy as can
Right.
be, versus a fully healthy Avalanche squad, and see how that matchup actually would go. But you have what you have. The cards are already dealt on the table, and you have to
Right. I
play
mean,
the
it could
hand that
be
you're given.
essential.
Exactly. So, and that's really the key to the
Right.
game is you have to be essentially perfect in all aspects. Don't make mistakes, make very little, if not zero penalties, and you're going to have to find a way to get around them. That's
Yeah.
like we said, it's just going to have to be your best game of hockey. That's the matchup, excuse me, I'm looking most forward to um, on Saturday as they head into Boston. So that's all
Absolutely.
I have as far as keys to the
And this
game.
is one of those games where we keep saying,
For sure, for
I'm
sure.
good.
No, you're you're fine. So we'll go ahead and close out
Sorry,
then.
I'm like trying so hard not to
No, you're
interrupt.
totally fine. Connection issues, that it's a thing, man. They happen, so don't worry about it. So I'll go ahead and close this out then. Thank you once again, everyone, for watching the podcast. Again, we apologize for the late start. I wish I could say I could fly into town on a private jet to just get to these on time, but you know what? Life happens, and it happens such a fast sometimes. Again, thank you everyone for following the podcast. We really do appreciate all the feedback and all the comments that you have. We enjoy listening to us every day. We're really grateful, really blessed to be doing this podcast. Again, if you haven't followed us already, we have all the socials out there. We got Facebook, we got YouTube, we got Twitter, Instagram. You can follow that at MHRT Network, where you can get notified when these shows go live so you don't miss a minute of our podcast. Again, we're the Cluster Puck Podcast, in case you forgot. You can follow us individually, I guess not individually, but the podcast itself at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter and on Instagram, and you can follow us at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or emotional outbursts that you just want to plaster all over our email, you can go ahead and email us at the Clusterpuck Podcast, or excuse me, clusterpuckpodcast at gmail.com. If you haven't already, we also have a merchandise website. You can see at the link below. It is a Cyber Monday, so you can get some, I think it was 15% off with free shipping. So do that before the day is over. Anything that you wish to add, Britt?
No, I don't think so. I'm ready for this week.
Okay, excellent. Well, as always, let's expect some big wins from the Avalanche. I'm expecting great things to come from them this week. Looking forward to a lot of good matchups. And as always, everyone, thanks for watching. Go Avs, go.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Because this party is over.